We're live.
Thank you. I have 3:24 p.m. on Wednesday, December 6, 2023. This is the November and December meeting of the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District Board. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Barnes.
Here.
Chaplin.
Here.
Delgado.
Here.
Fasella.
Present.
Hannon.
Here.
Nudo.
Here.
Dial.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Our first item is our first item. I want to welcome Jamie Singson from the university. He's our advisory board member. Thank you for being here. Jamie, would you like to tell us anything about yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Jamie Singson. I'm the Director of Capital Planning and the Interim Director of the Parking Department for the University of Illinois. I've been here on campus for 28 years and in many capacities, including Illini Union parking, capital budgets and planning, and it's a real pleasure for me to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. We certainly appreciate it.
Any interest in doing a survey for us?
Well, actually, I might have some ideas for you. There's some really good groups that do this kind of consulting work in the College of Geese Business. I'll send some names overseeing some of those.
That would be great. We would appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. Our first item is our approval of our agenda for today's meeting. It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda for today's meeting. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Our next item is our public hearing on the General Tax Levy Ordinance for fiscal years 2024. Excuse me. The primary purpose of this public hearing is to provide an opportunity for public input on the General Tax Levy Ordinance of the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District for revenue year 23 to be paid in calendar year 2024. Notice of the proposed tax increase for the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District appeared as a black bordered notice in the News Gazette on November 24th, 2023, and the proposed tax levy was posted on the district's website, mtd.org, under the financial documents for public review on 11/17 of 23. I have a copy of that here at the desk. Are there any comments from the public on the proposed general tax levy ordinance? I see none. Any emails or correspondence?
Yes. I received a comment from Laura Beth Brinkley, and her comment says, I believe you do not need a tax increase. I believe you reroute your buses as the ones I see never have many riders. And that's the end of the comment.
Very good, thank you. Any additional public comment? No one's had any emails or anything to them. So with that, at this time, we will declare this public hearing on the MTD's General Tax Levy Ordinance for 2023 is closed. Next on our agenda is the audience participation for the general meeting, and I see none. So we will move into the approval of the minutes from the open session board meeting from October 25th, 2023. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the board meeting open session October 25th, 2023 as presented. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Communications. Carl? Any communications from the board members want to share? All right, we will move into the managing director's report.
Thank you, Chair. So we're a little delayed because we have this combined board meeting, and so these are for October statistics, not for November, and in January we'll give November and December. So for October of 2023, there were 1,066,132 rides. And so that's the second month in a row and the second month since February of 2020 and the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic that we had ridership that exceeded 1 million per month. So that also is positive news. This is a 12.2% increase from last October. And what's notable about that, I mean, it's notable that we're over 1 million, but it's also notable that there were actually 3 fewer Champaign school days and 5 fewer Urbana school days. They had a fall break this year, and so when the schools are in service, those days we have a higher level of ridership than when they're not in service, and so we still had that 12.2% increase, even though we had fewer days of school service. So that's significant. In addition to that, I pointed out in my report, and so I just want to say it out loud, that we're seeing increases in our dash card ridership. And just as a reminder, dash cards are the ID cards that we provide to senior citizens and individuals with disabilities, and that allows them to ride our services for free. And so there was a 10.6% increase in dash card ridership. There was a 35.7% increase in monthly pass ridership. And there was a 40.3% ridership increase with Saturday and Sunday all-day passes. And then finally, our ADA ridership increased 35.5%. Our annual ridership was up 12.48% from this point, from October, the year-to-date to October. And then the next chart, you can see, the stair-step climb back of our ridership. Still have a ways to go before we hit the pre-pandemic plateau. Well, hopefully it's not a plateau, but the pre-pandemic level, and so we're on our way. Operating revenue, October 2023, the operating revenue was 18.8% above October of 2022. That's somewhat married to what we were talking about earlier with the pass increases, like with monthly passes and the Saturday, Sunday, all-day passes. The year-to-date operating revenue is 23.6% above the year-to-date for fiscal year 2023. The operating expenses for October were 10.3% above October of 2022, and year-to-date operating expenses were 8.8% above the year-to-date for fiscal year 2023. The year-to-date revenue and expenses as compared to the budget, the operating revenues were $936,872 above budget, while the operating expenses were $1.7 million below budget. That's it for data. Just a few notes to give you. We are in the process of rolling out a new service for individuals who are visually impaired. We've installed a component in our computer-aided dispatch automatic vehicle locating system that when a bus pulls up to a bus stop where multiple routes serve that bus stop, a visually impaired individual may not be able to tell which route that is because they would not be able to read the destination sign on the vehicle. So when the driver pulls up to the stop and opens up the door, an automatic announcement would announce to the visually impaired individual that this is the 5 Green East or whatever bus it happens to be, so that they can audibly identify the vehicle, which we think, the ADA encourages those types of services, but it's not an easy one to implement because it involves GPS location, and our system has to accommodate it, so we had to purchase that module. They actually had to develop the module for us. But we think it's a great service upgrade for visually impaired, and so we're excited. The planning department and operations are in the process of rolling that out right now as we speak. I wanted to point out one of the notes in the board packet is relative to the Illinois terminal elevators. Several months ago, you approved the I struggle with this word, modernization. I have to go really slow. And so we've been waiting for parts to come in for that. The parts have finally come in, and Schindler they are scheduled to come in this coming Monday to begin the work on the north elevator. So they'll work on one elevator at a time, so we always have a functioning elevator. I don't know how long it takes them to do each elevator, but we at least have a start date for them to start working on the north elevator. A couple of other things. Last week there were 5 staff members, myself and 4 other members of the staff team who participated in a 3-day planning charrette here at Illinois Terminal with the new development team, the City of Champaign Planning Department, and Development Department, and the architects. So we finally have gotten a team back together again to talk about the Illinois Terminal Expansion Project, formerly known as the Yards. And so since we have new developers involved, I think I've talked to you about this before, in large part we're kind of starting over from scratch because these guys are walking in and they haven't been a part of the discussions over the last 8 years, and so they've got lots of questions and they have lots of opinions and they have their own vision, and so we have to synthesize a new project based on their wants, needs, and desires and marry them to the district's and the city's wants, needs, and desires. It was a long 3 days, but it was really exciting. It was really productive. I think we are going to have a product that we can show you. I don't have anything today, but we have a product. We will have a product early in the new calendar year once the architects are done with their follow-up work and making drawings, where we can start talking about kind of what the concepts and ideas are. So I think that's really exciting. I just wanted to publicly say that we really appreciate the City of Champaign's involvement and the new development team. I think it's going to be a really exciting project.
Carl?
Yes.
Is anything in there about Christie parking?
The Christie parking lot is owned by the developer, so that lot is a part of this development project.
So it is a part of it, right?
It is. It's fully owned by the developer now. I mean, all throughout this conversation prior to recently, Christie still held that lot, and the old development team had it under contract, but they hadn't actually closed the deal yet. But the new developer came in and very quickly closed the deal, and so they're the sole owner of it now. Christie has built a new parking lot on Clark Street, on the west side of, sorry?
On Clark?
Between Clark and Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. Park and White,
White,
yeah.
right.
Sorry.
Right.
Well, yeah, it's the new lot.
They are paving over, they're knocking the hell out of the residential area in the area close to town, paving over all kinds of lots over the years. It seems like we could finally find a way to satisfy that group.
Well, we're not involved with that part of, well, we're not involved with what Christie is doing, so I don't really have a way to weigh in on that.
There isn't anything in the project about Christie parking? Or there is?
About new parking?
Yeah.
No. Okay. So the final thing I was going to say about that is that we are looking into some additional funding mechanisms and levers to pull to bring in some additional funds that would help pay for the project, because as I'm sure you've heard, post-pandemic and maybe not post, but mid-inflation, construction costs are significantly more than what they were pre-pandemic and pre-inflation, and so the project is quite a bit more expensive. And so the new development team and MTD are pursuing additional funding sources to try to fill in those gaps. Let's see, I think, Tech, I'm ready to move on to the photo. This was the Parade of Lights in downtown Champaign on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. We participate in this annually, and this year's theme was classic holiday movies, and I think probably everybody in this room can guess which movie we chose. And so this was our Grinch bus. You can go to the next photo. It shows it from a different angle. That's LED lights. LED lights. Yeah, our maintenance department installed on the bottom. So this is that's okay. You can go Tech. Yeah, this is you can see Charlie Lutz in the middle there is holding an award. We won the best use of parade theme. So that was our award, and pictured here are many of the maintenance crew who worked on the bus. So that's Greg Kozad, Howard Boven, Charlie Lutz, Zach Wingler, and Dutch Dowers. And then an additional that is not pictured, we had Rebecca Bolt, Eric Rowe, Autumn Solomon, Abby Kipping, Marissa Adams, Haley Seward, Matt Novelli, and Amy Snyder, who worked on that bus. And I personally think they did an amazing job. And so congratulations to them on the Best Use of Parade Theme Award. That, yeah, good catch, Bruce. That is the 1958 City Line bus that we still own and operate, and it is functional. It ran in the parade. So that's, yeah, our maintenance team keeps that baby ticking. So, yeah, they do a great job. All right, and finally, I just want to say we have two board members who their tenure is up at the end of this month. And so they both are multi-term trustees. They've been with us for a nice long time, over 10 years each. And I just want to express my gratitude to our chair, Brad Dial, and our vice chair, Margaret Chaplin. You two have been a steady hand with the board, and you both were trustees when you hired me, so I have a particular fondness for you, and I appreciate that. You two have been a real clear voice on the board, and I think everybody appreciates your leadership and the time and dedication that you've given the district. So thank you very much. And I've got a little gift for each of you, so I'm gonna travel around the room here to get Okay, for each of you, we've got, these great
Nice.
shopping bags.
I use these all the time. You'd be surprised.
A baseball cap and a winter jacket with your name embroidered on it and your logo so you forever remember us, and then your very own bus stop sign.
Wait.
So
Use
there
that.
you go, and that's an iStop, so you don't have to show your ID for that. You can just board the bus. So here are yours.
Yeah.
And
Very nice.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
so thank you.
I know Margaret's wants to say something to the board, so go ahead, Margaret.
You want me to go first? Okay. Well, I want to tell everybody I feel it's been an honor to serve on the board. I have learned so much. It's just incredible. And it was a great pleasure to get to know all of you and all the previous board members and all the various staff members. The MTD has an absolutely astounding, wonderful staff, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you, Margaret.
The only board member that rides the bus with
She's loyal.
I not only ride them to the board meetings, but I ride them elsewhere.
Yep. And I wanted to just recognize some groups of people and individuals. I'm sorry, my voice is, I've had a cold and I'm got a little trouble, so hopefully I can get through this without losing my voice. But we as a board, the MTD staff, we are certainly fortunate to have an elite group of staff members that do an excellent job of promoting and supporting, enhancing their operations here every day and support the board in a tremendous way. Our staff has always been really ready and willing to provide the board with anytime we've had questions, they've always got answers. They might have to do some little additional research sometimes, but they're always able to provide us with the answers we're looking for. They've been super supportive, and they keep the MTD, functioning very smoothly, and I'm super thankful for that. Our department heads and administrative staff have continued to function at a really high level day in and day out through, COVID and all the things that have happened over the last 13 years since I've been on the board. So I'm very appreciative of all the work, and even through the turnover that we've had over the years, our service has remained, consistent, and this organization operates at a very high level. So thank you all. For our current board, I wanted to thank each of you for volunteering. Excuse me. Each of you for volunteering to serve here. It's important organization here, and I think this organization is on a great trajectory, and I know that you will carry forward in keeping this organization moving forward. I've had the good fortune of, as I said, being on here for 13 years and worked with and enjoyed the company of many community leaders who have served on this board, and I've learned a lot. And, through my participation, and much as Margaret said, I have a much deeper understanding of public transit, government cooperation, and how a well-managed organization really operates. I'm going to take one moment, take a drink here. Margaret specifically has been vice chair for a number of years. She's a real advocate for the MTD, and I think she's been over 50 years a customer and a utilizer of the transportation services here. So she's unique and has a unique perspective as a board member, and is able to provide her perspective, and has been and has served this organization very well. And as Carl mentioned, I guess we're a little unique that we were here in 2014 when we selected a new leader, and we were fortunate to have two long-term employees who were very interested in leading this organization. And at the time, we had, it was a challenging, decision because we had, again, two employees who were very loyal and had served here a long time, and somebody was going to come away happy and somebody was going to come away, disappointed. And at the time, it was something of a difficult decision, but I think it was the right decision, and things have worked out, I believe, and I think Margaret does too. We've been on an upward trajectory ever since, so thankful for that board's input and putting us on the right road, and putting Carl basically behind the wheel of the organization, I think has proved to be a great thing. So thanks to all of you, and look forward to seeing you this evening. That's all that's all I'm going to have to say about that. Our next item, our next item is our Ordinance 2023-3, which is the General Tax Levy Ordinance for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. And I'm going to ask for a motion in a second to approve that item.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Ordinance number 2023-3, the General Tax Levy Ordinance for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024 for fiscal year 2023. That'll be a roll call, please.
Barnes,
Yes.
Chaplin,
Yes.
Delgado,
Yes.
Pasella,
No.
Hannan,
Yes.
Nudo,
Yes?
Dial.
Yes. That motion carries. Excuse me. Next item, we're going to forego on our agenda. You see that there's a appointment for a temporary chair for the January meeting due to circumstances at the county board level. We're not going to have to do that. So we're going to pass on that item, and we're going to move into the phone system replacement.
So A and B are out?
We
We
already
acted on
did A, and B is
We're going to
out.
pass on
We're on to C.
B.
So
Yes.
we're on C, and Ryan Blackman, our Technology Services Director, is here to give a presentation on that.
Good afternoon. So we are here to ask for approval to enter into a contract with Technology Innovations Group, TIG, to replace our phone system. So a little bit of background on our phone system and the process we went through to arrive at this recommendation. Our current phone system is about 20 years old. It was installed in 2003 when MTD moved into our current operations and administration building. So it's quite antiquated at this point. It's an old analog phone system. Most modern systems are IP-based. And doesn't support many of the features that you would expect with a modern phone system. More importantly than that, it is no longer being supported. It's a system that was made by Toshiba, and Toshiba is no longer producing this system or parts for this system, or I think phone systems in general anymore. So we have, in recent years, been finding it more and more difficult to find support, to get parts, to repair the system when there are issues with it. It's become something of a problem for us. We released on September 18th, is that right? On September 18th, we released an RFP for a new phone system. We received 5 bids, or I'm sorry, 5 proposals in response to that RFP. There was an evaluation committee made up of myself, Amy Snyder, our Chief of Staff, Drew Bargeman, our Customer Service Director, Luis Cornejo, our Network and Systems Administrator, and Don Orr, our Lead Tech Support Specialist. That committee reviewed the proposals and found 3 of them that we liked enough that we wanted to do kind of a second round of demonstrations. So we met with 3 of the proposers and allowed them to demonstrate and kind of give us it was over over Zoom, but kind of a hands-on demo of the system. And after that, there was a unanimous agreement with that group that we should move forward with TIG. So the contract is for $189,758.69. That's for a full replacement of our phone system, demolition and removal of the old system, training, all of that, and also 5 years of support and licensing. So I think that's all I wanted to say. I'll answer any questions I can.
Questions on this item? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion and a second to approve the contract for the phone system replacement.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve a contract for the phone system replacement. Give me that, what's your number again on that again, please?
$189,758.69.
$189,758.69 for that contract. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Our next item, excuse me, thank you. Our next item is the University of Illinois Intergovernmental Agreement for Campus Service for fiscal years 2025 through 2027. Carl.
All right, thank you. This is an agreement that we have generally been on a cycle of renewing every 3 years. So the current agreement that we have with the University of Illinois expires at the end of its third year term, which is June 30th of 2024. And so what you have before you is the new agreement, the new 3-year agreement for fiscal years 25, 26, and 27. And, this has been a long-standing agreement and partnership that we've had with the university. So Jamie, like Brad said, we welcome you, and there's a long storied history between your department, in particular the parking department, and MTD, so we look forward to working with you. But we have oftentimes gone through sometimes intense but almost always productive periods of negotiation with the university, and quite frankly we didn't have to do that this year because we started with this current agreement. So 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago now, we started a different model, and we really work collaboratively more closely than we have ever before. And so throughout all these 2.5 years, we meet regularly with the Service Advisory Committee, the SAC, and that's a committee that the university has formed, and it's populated by faculty, staff, and students, and then we MTD staff meet with them, and that has been really productive. And so when we got to the point where we were talking about this next agreement, there was already a common understanding of what we wanted to do. Have a little bit of a wrinkle because we're not at full service, so we're still trying to work that out, but it doesn't have anything to do with the agreement. It has to do with our employee shortage, so we're still working on that. But with that, Amy Snyder, who is the main point person for the Service Advisory Committee, along with Jay Rank, our operations director, I'm going to throw it over to her so that she can have a cough-off with you, Brad, and she can add any other comments.
I have no intention of challenging the board chair in a cough-off, especially in his final meeting. That would be so inappropriate. I think Carl really covered it. Jay and I work really regularly and hard with the university, and it's a wonderful relationship. So we're proud to advance this agreement to you first. It will go to the university's Board of Trustees in January. And so I guess formal of note is the full agreement totals $20,743,692.06. And that is, in your packet, of course, is the agreement itself, but then to look at what those services entail, you can view, it's page 95 of your board packet. And I'll take any questions.
Questions for the Chief of Staff from Board?
Congratulations.
Go ahead, Dick.
Are there any significant changes in the scope of the service that we're providing?
There are no changes. In the previous agreement, we added the 24-link service, and we changed, we separated the yellow and the yellow hopper, so they run separately from each other, as well as a tweak to the 22 Illini limited service. But there have been no changes like that, this agreement, very straightforward.
What's the safe ride portion of all this, do you think?
In terms of ridership?
Now, say it's roughly $6.5 million a year, so how much is safe ride costing?
You're asking for the cost of safe rides?
Roughly, yeah.
So we have our fully allocated cost per hour. So it's the amount of hours that Safe Rides takes up at 35.5% of the cost to provide that service. So all the hours are calculated that way. So Safe Rides is calculated the same as fixed route service.
So just to say that another way, Bruce, we take our fully we take our audited numbers at the end of the year, and we calculate what the fully allocated cost is for all of the service that falls under this agreement. Not all of the service that MTD does, but the service that we provide for campus. And that's what, when Amy says fully allocated cost, that's what that number is. And then what we charge in this agreement, the university, for roughly a third of that fully allocated cost. So we don't. So because we do it that way, the cost of providing safe ride service is the same as providing the link service. Or I want to start a new route now called the Twink that Amy mentioned. But the yellow, the Raven, the Illini, all the campus service, that it's an hour of service is an hour of service, irrespective of what route it's running or whether or not it's safe rides. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sort of. But the safe ride is a bus?
The safe, it's a van.
That's what I thought.
It's a van, but more than 75% of the cost of operating a vehicle is in the driver, not in what type of vehicle it is. So there is some bit of a difference with vehicles, but that's not the majority of the costs. And so we just roll it all in and say, here's what it is per hour.
Amy, what is the difference from the fiscal year 24 revenue to us and the new first year of this one, percent-wise?
Oh, that's a good question. I did have that number. I could do the math between that 19 million number to give you the percent. It's an agreed upon formula that we have with the university for how we look at essentially cost of living increases, and we calculate that and do an average to then set a rate for every 3 years of the upcoming agreement for what percent that increases. And that rate also factors in our capital costs and depreciation. Carl, do you want to add anything to that?
I didn't think I was going to, but just a quick correction. We don't actually factor in depreciation, but we do factor in capital. She's correct about that. So we take the average of our increase that in the fully allocated cost, and then we take that average and we take the CPI over those last 3 years. And well, it's a little different than that, but so we take the average that we have, and then we take the average CPI and we split the difference. So we don't go with CPI because that generally is much lower than what our actual expenses are, but we don't go with the actual expenses because that would those would be significant increases for the university every year. So we split the difference. This agreement kind of worked out in MTD's favor, which is unusual because normally it works out in the university's favor by splitting the difference. But because inflation has gone up so much, CPI has gone up so much, we actually came out a little ahead of where we normally would have. But it's just we're planning ahead for 3 years, so it's just we're taking averages.
Additional questions for Carl or Amy on this item? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion and a second to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District and the Board of Trustees of the University of Illinois.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve this intergovernmental agreement with the University of Illinois. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. That was our final action item for our meeting today. The next regular board meeting of the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District Board of Trustees will be Wednesday, January 31st. Excuse me, 2024, 3 o'clock here at Illinois Terminal. Some of us will be here and some of us will not. I'll ask for a motion and a second to adjourn.
We adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.